guys, welcome back. Today I want to show you how I edit image of M33, the galaxy in Triangulum, provided by Mark from the channel Deep Sky Detail. Some time ago Mark announced a contest. It's called the Real Intelligence Challenge. It's a processing contest in which only processes which don't use AI tools are allowed. So processing without AI for the Real Intelligence Challenge. Mark provided his own data. It's an image of M33 shot with the mono camera. So we have luminance, we have R, G and B stacks. These are stacks, and also H alpha. So I processed this image using mostly GIMP. This is the result. This is the result. So it's M33 combined, shot in LRGB and also combined with H alpha data. And I processed this material mostly in GIMP, and I will show you how to do it. It's actually quite easy, even without the possibility of using AI tools. So without any denoising, at least not in my workflow, and without separating stars using StarNet. The rest of the tools I use are not using any AI. Okay, so first let us look at the data. So this is the stack of luminance. This is the red color, the stack for red from red filter. This is the luminance, this is H alpha, this is the green color, and this is the blue color. So the first step would be to open all these stacks in serial and do the first stage of processing in serial. So first let me open, let's say, the luminance. And the only thing which has to be done here, at least according to my workflow, is to stretch the image, but I will stretch it to the certain extent. Not too much, not too little. So to do this, I will first set a measuring frame, let's say here. If I press right mouse button and choose statistics, then the measurement of brightness from this area will be provided in this statistics chart. Yeah, I think chart or table. So the mean brightness is about 4000 or 4000 I think, about 4000 ADUs. So I will stretch the luminance image to the value of about 30,000 ADUs. It's just I decided to stretch the image to 30,000 ADUs, not because it's the only value possible, it's just my choice. It's arbitrary. So let's stretch the image. That's what I'm doing right now. And let's measure the value of brightness in this area. 22,000, okay. So let's make it even brighter. But the thing is not overdo this stretching. Execute. It's too low. Okay, apply. So let's stretch the luminance even more. 25,000 and 28. Okay, I think it's okay. So I stretched the luminance image to about 28,000 ADUs. Now I will save this stretched luminance image as 32-bit TIFF. So let's call it 28,000 TIFF, for example. Save 32-bit floating point. Okay, now let's combine R, G, and B files. So let's choose image processing, RGB compositing, and let's assign proper stacks to the corresponding colors. I don't know if I say it in the right way in English. So red for red, green for green, blue for blue, blue for blue, and close. And please note that I am not using luminance right now. I will merge the luminance with the rest of the files in GIMP, not in serial. So I combined R, G, and B. If we stretch the image in color mode, we see that there is this greenish or teal color cast. So the first thing to do here is to make color calibration, photometric color calibration, M33, and the focal length of Mark's telescope was 480 millimeters, but the pixel size should be 4.63 microns. If I press OK, the color calibration will be executed, will be completed. So now we have the image, which is the color image, which is color calibrated. And now I need to stretch this image as well, measuring the brightness of the background in a similar area. Right now it's very dark. It's about 1000 ADUs, but we have three colors right now, red, green, and blue. So there are three values in this table. But I will pay attention while stretching the image. I will pay attention mostly to the red channel, because the red channel will be combined with H-alpha in a moment. So I will stretch this color image so the value in the red channel will be about 20,000. Okay, so let's do the stretching. Just histogram transformation as in the case, as was the case with the luminance. That's too much. I'm not using the A-sign stretch because the blue color is already very saturated, so I don't want to intensify this saturation. So only regular histogram transformation. Okay, let's measure the brightness. 13,000, so let's stretch the image even more. 19,000, okay, 19,000. execute 18. Oh, okay, I think it's okay. 19,000, okay. So hit apply, let's close this. Let's close this window as well. And this is the color image stretched. I'm not using any background extraction. I'm not denoising the image. I don't think, as for background extraction, I don't think there is no gradient here simply. So there is no need of using any background extraction, in my opinion. So after stretching, let's save this file. Let's call it RGB 19,000 TIFF. 32-bit floating point. Let's save it. And now let's stretch the H-alpha file, H-alpha image. So let's set the measuring frame again, somewhere here. Statistics. Oh, it's very dark. It's very dark, so let's stretch it. Oh, wait. Once again. All right. Image processing, histogram transformation. And let's stretch the H-alpha data. The value to which I stretch the H-alpha data, the mean value of the background brightness, I mean, should be a little bit lower than the value of the brightness of the RGB version of the red channel. So in the red channel, we had about 19,000 ADUs. So for the H-alpha data, I will stretch the image, yes, let's say to 17,000 ADUs. I'm doing this, and this is important. The background brightness of H-alpha should be a little bit smaller than the background value of red channel in the color data, because when I will combine H-alpha with the red channel in GIMP, I don't want the background of H-alpha to shine through the background of the R, of the red channel. So it is important to stretch A-alpha only a little bit below the value of the red channel. So this is the reason why I'm measuring the background brightness during stretching these files. Okay, so let's keep the 17,000 brightness. Click apply, click close, and let's save the H-alpha, 17,000 as 32-bit TIFF. Okay, and this is all which I do in serial, is all what I do in serial. So let me switch to GIMP. GIMP. Here is GIMP. The first file I will open in GIMP is the color version, the color stack, because I want GIMP to be already set in the color mode, not in a grayscale mode, but in the color mode. So the first image I open is the color one, and then I open as layers the luminance, stack and the H-alpha stack, open as layers. Okay, and now if we look at the stars in the luminance layer, actually the most work, because this is the fourth or fifth time when I'm processing this data, so I know how the whole workflow looks like. And it was a little bit surprising for me that the most work is done for correcting the stars, because there are distortions, optical flows in the corners of the image. So the most work is to correct the stars in the corners and also in the whole image. And actually merging the H-alpha with the red channel is one of the simplest tasks here during this processing. So most of the work will be with this particular data will be for correcting stars. So if we look at the corners, we can see that the stars are slightly elongated. There are also signs of astigmatism. I'm not sure if I am pronouncing this flow correctly. But first, let's correct the elongation in the corners. So to do this, I use my usual trick. So I will copy the luminance layer. I will paste it as new image. Now I will scale the image to 200%. And now I will duplicate the layer. I will set the blending mode of the duplicated layer to darken only. And I will scale the upper layer, scale layer. I will reduce its size by 3 pixels. So let's reduce the size, 1, 2, 3, and hit scale. Okay, and by doing this, I make stars smaller, let's say. Now, this is the original version with elongated stars, but if I reduce the size of one of the layers, which blending mode is set to darken only, they will become smaller. The stars will become smaller, but the effect is working in the lower corners. The effect is working well in lower corners, but in upper corners it's not so effective, because here the stars are not so elongated, let's say. So what I will do is I will apply the effect only to the lower part of the image, and I will do it by using a mask. So I will add layer mask to the upper layer. It will be a black mask, and I will, with this mask active, I will fill this mask with white, but only, wait, I have to change fixed. I have to uncheck this option. So to reveal only parts of the upper layer, I will use a mask, and it will about 20% of the whole image. Because the correction, after resizing, resampling the upper layer, the correction works best in the lower part of the image. So let's fill this mask with white in the selection. And when I do this, let's choose bucket fill tool. And now with the mask active, when I press, yes. So the effect is taking place only in the part of the mask which is white. If I show the layer mask, you can see that only part of the mask is white and the rest is black. So select none. Let's blur the border between black and white. Gaussian blur, let's make it, I don't know, 30. Maybe. Or maybe more. Filters, blur, Gaussian blur. Let's blur it to 50. Okay, so now the transition between black and white is more smooth. Show layer mask. So now if I switch on and off this correcting layer, we can see that the stars are corrected, but only in the lower part. Yes, here are, can you see it? Now it's turned on, so the stars here are corrected. If I turn it off, the stars become elongated, but only in the lower part of the image. And this is exactly what I wanted to achieve. So I press New from Visible. And now, if we look closer or more closely, we can see that the stars are in the whole image are elongated vertically, right? So to correct this, I will use exactly the same trick, but this time I will apply it for the whole image, not to only part of the image. So right now I have two layers. I set the blending mode of the upper layer to darken only, and I will use layer transform offset to move the upper layer vertically in the y-axis 1 pixel down. If we look closer, we can see that after moving this layer, the stars become smaller. They are not so much elongated anymore. So press OK. And let's press New from Visible. And this is our corrected version of the image. So if we compare it with the original one, which is down here. So this is the corrected version. Let's look at the corners. And this is the original version. And this is what we wanted to achieve. So correcting the shape of stars without using any AI tools like Blur Exterminator. Of course, it is not perfect, but still I think the effect is quite good. Okay, so now I can delete all these layers because I don't need them anymore. What I need to do is I need to scale this image back to its original size, so to 50%. And now I will copy this image back to the original file, edit, paste as new layer. And well, the first thing which you can notice is that the shape of stars is corrected, but because of this resampling to 200%, the sharpness of the image is not so, the image is not so sharp as the original luminance. Now I'm switching back and forth between, this is the image, this is the original luminance, and this is the image right now. This is the image with corrected shape of stars. You can see that there is a slight blur, so the details became less visible. So to correct this, I will sharpen the corrected image. So I will duplicate the layer again. I will choose filters, enhance, high pass filter. It turned out that using the default values is okay. So I'm using the default values, press OK. And I will set the blending mode of this upper layer to overlay. And now the image will be sharpened a little bit to restore the sharpness. So if I choose new from visible, if I turn off the sharpening layer, so this is the layer which is sharpened. This is the original layer after star correction. So if now it's the layer after star correction, and this is the sharpened layer. You can see that the sharpening effect is visible. And if we compare it with the original luminance layer, we can see that the sharpened image is even more sharp than the original luminance. So it's okay. So right now let's delete the sharpening layer, let's delete this layer, and let's call this layer final M33 all 28,000 corrected diff. All right, so this is our corrected luminance. This is our corrected luminance. So I think it's time to save the file. All right, so now let's work on the color data. It has its own problems, and the biggest problem here is that the blue channel, the blue color, is not aligned well with the rest of the colors. If we look at the corners, we can see that the blue is slightly away from the rest of the colors, and the situation repeats itself in the rest of the corners too. And I can correct it. I want to correct it. So to correct this, I will again, I will split, to correct this, I will split this color image into separate channels. So colors, components, decompose. Actually, I can close the image with the luminance. All right, so this is the color image decomposed into three channels. If we look again at the corners, we can see this is red visible right now, this is green, and this is blue. As you can see, the stars in the blue channel are very elongated and not aligned with the rest of the colors. So to correct this, I will duplicate the layer, the blue layer, and I will, in the normal mode, in the normal blending mode, I will simply scale this layer down by 2 pixels. Okay. All right. And to restore the original size of the layer, because right now it's making smaller, so I shifted the blue a little bit closer to the center of the image, but this layer, this resampled layer became smaller by 2 pixels. So to be able to combine this layer with red and green layers, I have to restore its original size. For this I needed the copy of the blue layer, because right now I just choose merge down, so the size of this layer is restored. So now let's combine these layers again. Colors, components, compose. Red, green, and blue. Okay. All right, and now if we copy the result and paste it in our original file, we can see that the blue color is no longer so much shifted. This is the original color version, original color file, and this is the corrected version. As you can see, the blue color is shifted closer towards the center, and this is what I wanted, and this was my goal. So now the blue color is more or less corrected. Yes, similar in this corner. This is the corrected version, and this is the original version. So the blue color is shifted closer to the central part of the image. So now what should be corrected is the green cast in parts of stars. To do this, I will use the equivalent of Hasta la Vista green in GIMP, but there is one important consideration. If we remove the excess green, we have to pay attention what happens to the nebulae visible in the galaxy, because right here in the galaxy we have two nebulae which are green. This was the first one, this is the second one. If we remove green without taking care for these green nebulae, we will remove their colors, and we don't want to do this. We only want to correct color of stars, remove the excess green from stars and not from the nebulae. So at the moment I will first combine H-alpha with the color image to make colors of these nebulae different than only green. So let me try this. But first I will close these files. So to combine H-alpha with the red channel, I have first split the color image into components, decompose into color components again. And I will copy the H-alpha data, because when we switch between the H-alpha and the color version, we can see that these green nebulae, they are green in RGB, but they have also strong signal in H-alpha. This is H-alpha. So if we combine them, if we combine the RGB version with H-alpha, these nebulae will no longer be green. So they will not be affected by the remove excess green process. So let me copy H-alpha layer. Let me paste it here. Edit, paste as new layer. And now what I will do is now the H-alpha layer is simply on top of the red layer. If I set the blending mode of the H-alpha to lighten only, the parts where there are H-alpha red nebulae will become visible, but because the background is darker, only the H-alpha clouds will be visible and the rest of the background will not shine through the background of the red layer. So yeah, okay. I can try to increase the brightness of the H-alpha layer. Colors, curves, let me do it like this. Okay. How about this? Oh, maybe I will do it like this, but I don't want to increase the brightness of the background. I only want to intensify the color, the brightness of the nebulae, but without touching the background. Now the background becomes brighter and I don't want to do this. So yes, I think I will keep it like this. Okay. And let's choose new from visible. This is R plus H-alpha. And let's see how it will look after combining back into RGB. Components, compose. So as red, I use layer R plus H-alpha. As green, I use green, and as blue, I use blue. Okay. Yes, I think this is what I want. Edit, copy, and paste it. Wait, where is? Oh, okay, it's here. Edit, paste as new layer. So this is the original color image, RGB image, where the nebulae are green, and this is the image after merging with H-alpha data. You can see that there are the H-alpha nebulae are visible, much more pronounced, and the green nebulae are no longer green, they are more like orange. Okay, so after combining H-alpha with the red data, now I can remove the excess green from stars. But first let me close this one, let me close this one. Let me save the file just in case. And I will also rename this layer. So this is R plus H alpha GB. So now let's make the correction in green. Let's split the channels again. Components, decompose, RGB. And this is my usual trick. I showed it many times before. So I hide the green layer, the red and blue are active. I set the blending mode of the red layer to lighten only. I choose new from visible. I move the green layer on top, activate it, change the blending mode to darken only, select new from visible again, new green, delete this layer, and let's compose them again. Colors, components, compose. Red, new green and blue. Edit, copy, edit, paste as new layer. And now if we look at the greenish, one more thing. To restore the luminance, we have to do one more step. So move the original layer on top, set its blending mode to luminance, choose new from visible, and set the blending mode of this layer to normal again. Remove this one, and this new layer I will call R H alpha GB, no green. If we compare the colors of the new version and the old version, this is the new version and this is the one with green cast. You can see that, like here, this is the original version and this is after correcting the excess green. Not only the background is less green, but also the greenish tint in stars is reduced. Alright, so this was the first step. Now I want to remove the purple fringes from stars. To do this, I will press right mouse button, choose colors, select invert, and first I will close these files. So after inverting the colors, I will split the components again, decompose to layers, and I will do exactly the same trick, only on the version with inverted colors. New green. Red, new green, and blue. Okay. Alright, let's invert the colors again. Edit, copy. And let's invert colors of the original layer as well. And now if I paste, edit, paste as new layer. If I paste the version with corrected pink fringes around stars, we can see that the pink color was also removed from the galaxy. And we don't want this. We want the galaxy to be pink because there is a lot of H-alpha here. So first I will correct the luminance of the corrected version. New from visible, normal. So this is our H-alpha GB no pink. This one I can remove. This is normal, this is normal. Okay, so this is the version without pink fringes around stars, but with reduced pink color also in the galaxy. If we look at stars, we can see this is the original pink version with the pink fringes, and this is the corrected version. As you can see, the stars look very good because the pink fringes, the violet fringes, were removed, but the pink color was also removed from the galaxy, and we don't want this. But luckily, it is very easy to correct this. It is very easy to correct this, but first I need to correct the background a little bit. So let's move on the layer without the pink correction. I will add some green, just a tad. Yes, to make the background more gray. Yes, now the background is more gray. So what I will do is I will simply use the layer with corrected pink only for stars for the rest of the image, and the middle part with the galaxy I will mask, so the version from the lower layer will be taken, will be used. So let's add layer mask. Let's make it white. And now I will select the area with the galaxy using free select tool. Okay. I will fill this area on the mask, not on the image, but on the mask. So make sure the mask is active. I will fill this area with black. And I will deselect. And I will blur the mask. Gaussian blur. Let's blur it to, let's say, 200. Ugh, it's much too much. 50. Maybe 60. Oh. Okay, show layer mask. Alright, so now we have stars which have corrected pink fringes, but the galaxy itself is from the lower layer. So the pink color on the galaxy is preserved. So let's press new from visible, and this is our R plus H alpha GB. Let's call it final. And I can delete these two layers. Okay, now it would be good to increase the saturation of the color layer, but before I will do it, I will first save the image. Before increasing the saturation, I will remove the chrominance noise. To do this, I will duplicate this layer, even twice. I will blur the lower layer, blur, Gaussian blur. Let's blur it to 1. And I will use the upper copy as luminance, new from visible. So now if we compare this layer, this is the corrected one and this is the original one. You can see that in the corrected version there is noise in the background, but it's not so colorful because all small pixels with various colors were blurred, so the background is more equalized in color. Alright, so this is our H alpha R plus H alpha GB final one. After chrominance noise removal, and now I can increase the saturation. I didn't want to do this before reducing chrominance noise because I don't want to intensify the chrominance noise, the color noise. So this is why I first reduced the color noise and only then I am increasing saturation. And there is one more thing before increasing saturation, namely I will reduce stars. So let me choose select by color tool. Let me select stars. Maybe even more. Oh. Select grow by 5, maybe. Select feather, let's feather it by 5. No, it's too much. Select feather by 5, not by 50, but by 5. Yes. But I have to pay attention because I'm working on layer with stars. I wasn't allowed to use StarNet to separate stars. So I need to deselect the areas of the galaxy which are not stars. So to do this, I choose free select tool. I choose subtract from the current selection. And I will mark the central part of the galaxy because I don't want to change the brightness of the nebulae in the galaxy. I only want to correct stars. So I remove the galaxy, the parts of the galaxy from the selection. Here is also something which looks like a nebulae. Here maybe too. Alright, so now mostly stars are selected. So let's choose filters, distorts, value propagate, and let's make the stars smaller. As usual, I set the strength of the filter to about 0.5. Okay, select none. Alright, so the stars are smaller. So now I can finally increase the saturation, and I will also increase the contrast. So let's choose colors, levels. Let's make the background darker. Okay. And for increasing the saturation, I will duplicate the layer even twice. As usual, I will blur the layer on which I will increase the saturation, and I will use the upper layer as luminance. Colors, saturation. Oh. Alright, so the saturation is increased. Now I will use the upper layer as luminance, and I chose new from visible. And this is, I think this is the final color layer, GB final saturation, or SAT for short. So let's delete this layer, let's delete this layer. This is the original layer with colors, and this is the layer with intensified colors, with increased saturation. So now the time has come for combining our corrected luminance with our corrected color. So let's switch the blending mode of the luminance for luminance. And here is the image after applying the luminance layer, but as we can see, the luminance layer is too bright and the stars are too big, too bright. So the first thing I will do with the luminance layer is I will darken it, colors, curves. I will darken it, and I will also make the stars smaller. Alright, so let's try to reduce the size of the stars. I will duplicate this luminance layer. I will choose select by color, and I will try to select only the brightest stars, the ones which are the overblown cores, the ones which have overblown cores. But first let me remove the parts of the galaxy which were also selected. Alright, so now select grow by 7, select feather by 5, filters, distorts, value propagate, more black, yes, and let's reduce the stars. Okay, select none. So this is the version after reducing the color or the brightness of stars, and this is the version, the original version. And we want to keep this version with reduced stars. Okay. And now let's blend this version, this corrected luminance, with the color layer, and now we have a beautiful image we have a beautiful image of M33 in color. As we can see, the color of stars is very nice. The H-alpha areas are very well visible. It's almost like magic. It's simply combining this dull, colorful image with the luminance layer, and all becomes very different, very nice. Look how many small galaxies are visible here. It's really amazing. So many small galaxies. Here is one. All these small dots here, this, here, all these dots are small galaxies. It's amazing. But anyway, the colors are very nice. So I think the final step, let me choose new from visible and let me save the file again. So the final step will be to sharpen the central part of the image. So I will duplicate the layer. I will initiate filters, enhance high pass. Yes, let's try. Maybe I will increase the contrast a little bit. Or maybe not. Let's use the default settings. And let's set the blending mode to overlay. So now what we want to sharpen is only the central part of the galaxy, not the stars and not the background. Yes, so to achieve this, I will add a layer mask, a black layer mask to the sharpening layer, and I will paint white on this layer mask only in the central part. Only in the central part, increasing the sharpness of central parts of the galaxy. No, here is too much. I think the nebula here can benefit from sharpening, but the stars here, the star here, not necessarily. So I paint back in black to cover the stars. Okay. It's like I said before, you have to think what you are doing. You keep, how to say, a sharp eye on what you are doing, on the whole process, and you have to control how the image looks like, to not overdo the effect. So I sharpen only the parts which can benefit from sharpening, and I still watch if this effect is really beneficial for these areas. Okay, I think that's enough. If we compare, yes, this is the sharpened version and this is not sharp version. So I think the visibility of the details is improved. Now one last step, I can blur this mask a little bit. Filters, blur, Gaussian blur. And let's blur it like 10. Maybe too much, maybe 8. Oh, something like this, to make the transition between the black and white areas more smooth. Show layer mask. Okay, and I think this is the sharpened version and this is the version without sharpening. I think the difference is quite visible and quite, how to say, effective? Attractive, not effective, effective as well, but attractive. This is what I wanted to say. Okay, guys, so I think this is the end. New from visible. This is the end of processing the M33 Galaxy for the Real Intelligence Challenge announced by Mark from Deep Sky Detail channel. This is my way of editing this galaxy. I hope this is my way of editing this galaxy without any AI tools. So as you saw, the whole process was done in GIMP without using any AI tools. And I think the effect is quite alright, quite good looking. And I also hope that you will find this video useful and that it will help you in your processing of your material. Okay, so this is it for now. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.